Here's your note sheet from yesterday. Okay. All right. All right, guys. So, our steps for factoring. The first one's greatest common factor. We need to find the greatest common factor, if there is one, and factor it out. Our second step was to write two sets of parentheses with three spaces. Once we finish that, we're going to find the sign. And finding that the sign is based off the third term. If the third term is positive, then the signs are the same. And match the sign of the middle term. And yes, we did write these down yesterday. So if the third term is positive, the signs are the same and match the sign of the middle term. If the third term is negative, the signs are opposite. It just means one positive, one's negative. Our fourth step was to find the factors of the first and third term. And the last step is to plug those factors in, plug in, and check. Last step is to plug in and check. And we had all these steps yesterday. I wanted to rewrite them out so we do have it again in the video, but also we've seen it one more time. I believe this is where we left off yesterday. 2x squared minus 5x minus 7. So again, the first thing we're looking for is a greatest common factor. And what's the greatest common factor between these three terms? There is not one. There's not a number besides 1 that goes into all three, and 1 doesn't really help. So that moves on to step 2, our two sets of parentheses with three spaces. Then we move on to step 3, to find the sign. If the third term is positive, the signs are the same and match the sign of the middle term. If the third term is negative, the signs are opposite. Well, here the third term is negative, so the signs are opposite. One's positive and one is negative. If the third term is negative, the signs are opposite. Because if the third term is negative, we're not even looking at the sign of the middle term. Because again, they're opposite. One's positive, one's negative. Now at this point, it really doesn't matter which one I said is negative and which one's positive. We just need to plug in one is plus, one is minus. Because again, at the end, we're going to check it and make sure it works out. Questions on this so far? Step number 3 is factors of the first and third term. Let's look at the first term first, 2x squared. What are the only factors for x squared? X and x. X and x. All right, factors of 2. 1 and 2. I can write it out just like we could have with x squared, but how many sets of factors do we have? We can just plug it in. Where do you want to put the 2? First one, second one? First one. All right, factors of 7 are what? 1 and 7. How many? Well, that's it, isn't it? Where do we want to put the 1? Where do we want to put the 7? 1 in the first. 7 in the second. So we plugged them in. Now we're going to check. Now there's no, I mean, we can check the 2x times x, and that would indeed be 2x squared. Well, we got 2x and x from 2x squared. It will multiply to get back there. The main thing we're looking for is the middle term. 2x times negative 7. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14x. 1 times x would be plus x. So negative 14x plus x, negative 14 plus 1 would be negative 13x. Is that the middle term we wanted? All right, let's switch to 1 and 7. So we have 2x plus 7 times x minus 1. We'll do it again. 2x times negative 1. Negative 2x. So we don't necessarily have to do the 2x times x, because 2x times x is 2x squared. Because even with us flipping it, that still stays true. Because 2x times x is always going to be 2x squared. So it's not that we don't have to check it. There's not a lot of reason to check it. Because unless we didn't factor 2x squared right, our, let's do a different color. This 2x times x will always get us back to 2x squared. Our 7 times negative 1 will always, or should always get us back to negative 7. The only time it won't is if we got the wrong factors. So I said that one of the factors for 7 was 2 and 3. Then it would be off. Does that make sense? But if we've got the correct factors for the first and third term, there's no reason to check the first and third term. Because we're going to get back there. The only one that's changing, as we've seen so far, is this middle one. Because when I had 7 and 1 the other way, it gave us negative 13, not negative 5. That's the only one that changes. So why focus on the stuff that doesn't when we want to focus on the one that does? So if we look at this here, 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x. 7 times x is plus 7x. Negative 2x plus 7x. Negative 2 plus 7. 5x. Is that the middle term we wanted?
Yes.
Yes and no. Because yes, it is 5x. But we need it to be negative, yes? If you have the... What? No. Give me that thought. Because... Please. Because I'm good with switches, but we wouldn't switch the x, we would signs. Because if we switch the signs, we have 2x times 1 now, which makes it positive 2x. It went from negative 2x to positive 2x. Negative 7 times x, negative 7x. So it went from positive to 2x minus 7x would give us negative 5x. Now, for this problem here, switching the x's wouldn't work, and switching the 1 and 7, to do it, we would have to switch both of the x's and the 1 and 7. We'd have to switch everything. If we're just switching the signs, we do one change and we're done. Does that make sense? Now, if it was, say, 2x and 2x, switching the third term, the 1 and 7 would have gotten us the answer. But sometimes easier just switch the signs than try to do all the ifs and thens and going out. If you get the correct number, but wrong sign, flip the signs. If you get the correct number but wrong sign, just flip the signs and you'll get the correct answer. So 2x minus 7 times x plus 1 is our final answer. Questions on this here? Three x squared minus 7x minus 6. What's the greatest common factor? There's not one. 3x squared and 6 have one, but the 7 doesn't. Exactly. So, 2 sets of parentheses with 3 spaces. If the third term is positive, the signs are the same and match the sign of the middle term. If the third term is negative, the signs are opposite. Here, the sign of the third term is negative, so the signs are opposite. I could have put minus first and plus second, or plus first and minus second. It really doesn't matter. Now we need to find the factors of the first and third term. Our first term is what? 3x squared. Well, the x squared would be x and x. What are the factors of 3? Do we have any others besides 1 and 3? So where do we want to put the 3? Second one. Okay. First one. Factors of the third term. Factors of 6 are 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Which one do we want to try first? 2 and 3. Where's the 2 going? Where's the 3? We can't. It's not going to work. So 3x plus 3. Is there a like term there? Yeah, there's 3. Yes? So if there's a like term here, that means I could factor it out, getting us to this here. Switch it. So let's check this here. 3x times negative 3 would be negative 9x. 2, positive 2 times x is going to be plus 2x. Makes negative 7x. Is that the middle term we want? Yes. So knowing that we can't have that like term in the same set of parentheses, especially if there's not one to begin with, helped us get rid of set of factors. Now, if you start noticing that no matter how you plug it in, that there's a like term, take a second look at the starting one. There might be one we missed. It's like, okay, like term of 3. Okay, well, yeah, 7 definitely doesn't divide by 3. They can't go together. So it removes possible arrangements we have to check. It makes it a little bit easier on us. That's it. 3 through 10, 8 problems. You have the rest of the class time to work on that there.